Hello, I'm RKA and I'm an idiot. Today I want to idiotize about space, which in my little universe is not a four-dimensional fabric of space and time, but space in my little universe is quantized. It consists of individual space cubes with a complicated software. Why would I quantize space? I mean, hey, look at Albert Einstein. He's created a fantastic universe using a four-dimensional space-time. Well, of course I'm an idiot and this four-dimensional business is far too complicated for me. So I need a simpler way of explaining a few things like, for instance, the speed of light. Maybe you remember my previous video on the speed of light. In my little universe, light is not a bullet train, it is a kangaroo which hops and hops and hops from space cube to space cube, and this explains the constant speed of light no matter whether the source of the light is moving or not. What happens if instead of light we send a quantum particle through space? Well, in my little universe, this will create a change in software of the space cubes. So, particle A hits red space cubes and leaves green space cubes behind. And particle B only hits green space cubes. What does this change in color mean in real life? Well, in my little universe, it explains the particle-wave dualism, for instance, in the double-slit experiment. Particles are particles, and the wave pattern is created not by the particles, but by microfacilitation of the space. So, in my little universe, there is no fancy superposition of microparticles that are able to pass through two slits at the same time. The interference pattern you can watch on the screen is due to microfacilitation. It is the space that creates wave behavior, not the particles. Now that means, of course, that in my little universe you can create destructive interference by using two particle generators, one shooting particles from bottom to top and the other one shooting particles from top to bottom. All you have to do is make sure that when particle generator 1 fires, particle generator 2 is silent and vice versa, so you don't get direct interference of particles. Now, things are a little different when we talk about bigger objects which occupy more than 1 or 2 or 5 space cubes at any given moment in time. We get all sorts of interference patterns which eventually mask the wave pattern. So microfacilitation can be observed when we watch objects that are small enough to fit in one space cube. It causes the wave pattern, and its effect lasts for a little while, which means if you shoot particle A through space, particle B will be affected as long as it doesn't come too late. Of course, macrofacilitation is nothing else but microfacilitation, except it looks different, because you get all sorts of interferences which mask things like the wave pattern or the lasting effect. One of the consequences of living in a little universe where space is absolute is that speed is absolute. Let's have a look at this fancy spaceship here, which travels from left to right at 90% of the speed of light. It's got a fancy gun inside with 2 barrels. Barrel A is filled with bullet A and barrel B with bullet B, both bullet being identical. in between bullet A and bullet B, we have some gunpowder, which we will now set on fire. What will happen to bullets A and B? In my little universe, the relative speed of bullet A will be lower than the relative speed of bullet B, because in absolute terms, bullet A is trying to reach the speed of light, whereas bullet B is slowing down. What about gravitational mass being the same as inertial mass? Well, in my little universe, this is not true. Have a look at this picture here. We have spaceship A and spaceship B. Spaceship A is traveling at 90% of the speed of light and spaceship B at 10% of the speed of light. Under these circumstances, it takes a lot more energy to accelerate spaceship A by 1,000 kilometers per second as compared to spaceship B. But what about gravity? In my little universe, spaceship A does not experience more gravitational pull by planet A than spaceship B. So, in my little universe, inertial mass is not the same as gravitational mass. Gravitation affects matter and electromagnetic waves, whereas inertia only affects matter, not electromagnetic waves. Have a look at this picture here. You can see a spaceship traveling from left to right at about 90% the speed of light. And there is an astronaut right next to the spaceship, say a mile away. Now, do you really think the space of the astronaut is being affected by this spaceship passing by? Like it might shrink or something? I don't think so. Why does an idiot like me like the concept of space cubes? Well, it helps me understand why the speed of light is constant. It helps me bridge the gap between quantum mechanics and Einstein's theories of relativity, as far as I understand that. And it helps me explain waves. I mean, how else could I understand the concept of waves? If I thought of waves consisting of individual particles with no relationship in between, how could they constantly create such regular movements and figures? Well, space cubes help to explain that phenomenon. Finally, the concept of space cubes helped me understand time. In my little universe, time is not a fourth dimension. Time is a function. It's due to interaction of matter and space cubes or electromagnetic waves and space cubes. Empty space cubes at the edge of our universe do not know what time is. There is no time. In my little universe, space rules, time not. So, what actually is space? Well, in my little universe, space is energy, and it's energy with the highest possible entropy. Remember in a previous video on entropy, I was telling you that entropy in my little universe is the sum of all potential differences at the beginning of our universe divided by the sum of all potential differences now. So, I believe in space cubes, created by the Big Bang, recycled by black holes. They are the mother of all waves. So, in my little universe, entropy is always universal. It's not localized. Before the Big Bang, entropy was 0. At the time of the Big Bang, it was 1, and now it's growing and growing and growing. But on top of this universal entropy, there's also a relative degree of entropy, and that is connected to the kind of energy. From an engineering point of view, electromagnetic waves are pretty useful, so let's give them a degree of entropy a little higher than 1. Matter is not quite as useful, so let's put the degree of entropy a little higher than the one for electromagnetic waves. Empty space, however, is bloody useless. The degree of entropy is infinite. You cannot work with empty space. Rumor has it that entropy is constantly increasing. But in my little universe, it can be reversed. Electromagnetic waves, matter, and space cubes can be recycled in black holes and produce energy of the highest degree, just like before the Big Bang. Now, what about time? Well, as I've mentioned before, in my little universe, time is not a fourth dimension. It is not permanent. It is not constantly there. It is a function caused by the interaction of space and matter or space and electromagnetic waves. No interaction, no time. Remember, space rules, time not.